It's the Cold Beer Surf Club.
Let's fucking do it, man.
Heck yeah.
Stoked. Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, Jacob. Thanks so much for coming up, dude. And
yeah, of course.
jumping on the podcast.
Oh, it's a ton of fun, dude. I love doing stuff like this. It's fun.
Yeah, I know. It's like I listened to a podcast that you did on YouTube. I always like to try to listen to some people have done a little bit. And
oh, thank you,
yeah,
man.
It was super cool to hear your story and just get to know a little bit about you before meeting you. But yeah, fired up. Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course. This is a beautiful set we were talking about. It's fucking awesome. Can I say fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck allowed?
You can say pretty much whatever you want.
Fuck.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, congrats on everything that's going on for you guys. And
thanks.
I just love to kind of go back and just hear about like growing up around here in SoCal and kind of where you got your roots and your inspiration and
100%
some of your backstory. And
yeah, I was born in Long Beach, St. Mary's Hospital, and spent time there in Long Beach when I was a little kid, and I was like a baby. And then we moved to Hawaii for a little bit, Oahu, Kailua, and then we moved to San Diego when I was like 5 or 6, probably somewhere around there, and in Pacific Beach, and I would stay there for all my childhood onward. Did all my schooling in PB and local schools in San Diego, and then but I'd spend my summer times at my grandparents' house in Long Beach. So I did like junior lifeguard and stuff like that in Long Beach during the summer times, and definitely was always outside, like always. I was definitely always on the beach when I was a little kid, just exploring and finding sticks that washed up to like hit each other with, stuff the kids do. And where I grew up in PB was near this park called Kate Sessions Park, where there was this really dope canyon behind the park. So me and my friends would always go there and explore. Like, we just loved doing that stuff. Like, obviously I love doing indoor stuff too, like video games and whatnot, but I was always had that mix of like, we would just like beg our parents, like, please, can we stay out and go do this? Like, we want to go hang out and go hiking. And then around 17, I dropped out of school and moved back up to Long Beach, and I've been there ever since, man.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Just down the road.
Yeah.
And
100%.
when you start getting into music, like early teens kind of?
I would say so. Yeah, definitely. It was always around in my household. So, my mom's a very musical person, and there's always lots of people in and out of the house. So had a bunch of different influences hitting me all the time. But I didn't show interest in learning until I was about 12 or 13. And it was during those summer times, my grandpa on the porch of his house would teach me to play guitar.
Sick.
Yeah.
Did he teach your dad how to play guitar too?
I'm sure bits and pieces. That whole side of the family was very musical. So there was oftentimes like family get-togethers where they just have a big, huge family jam.
Just a big jam.
Yeah.
No way.
There were people on all sorts of different instruments and stuff, and playing like oldies and classics. And I think a lot of that kind of collaborative process is what inspired my dad, or at least informed a lot of how he got down, because so much of the Sublime songs was just, channeling all the stuff around them and getting so many different people involved. And I find that nowadays in this new era of Sublime, that's still the spirit that I try to keep active with it, is that it's a collaborative process. It's all these people that are local folks that had something to do with Sublime, and then the whole new generation who was inspired by them too. So it's been a lot of fun getting to just explore all of that. It really is a family type of thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And is that like, obviously you've had your own musical career going on now since, like you said, 17 when we were talking before we sat down, and a couple of bands of your own, right?
Yeah, definitely. Been in and out of a few different bands. And then I'd say about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I made the switch to do it full time with my band Jakobs Castle. And I was like, okay, I'm going to spend all of my focus and energy doing this. And it really wasn't easy, and even before that, like, I would just do anything I could to try to get to the next step. I'd go to all the local venues and knock on their doors and try to bring gifts to the people who set up shows and stuff, and just like begging anybody to play with us or put us on. And it was tough for the longest time. I really had to try to earn my keep, so to speak. And joining Sublime was sort of never an option for me. I was like, no, I don't want to do that path. I don't want to be involved with that. But it was almost like the more I ran away from it, the more that I was being not true to myself, and the more that it came on to me. And so when it finally did happen, it just felt like the right timing. And it felt like I had, put in my work and established my band Jakobs Castle to where it was supposed to be. And I was having that outlet where I could make the music that genuinely excites me. And then I realized that the Sublime side of things, it should be part of it. You know, it should all be one big holistic thing. Like I don't want to shy away from any part of who I am, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I like just in hearing you talk about it and some of the other things I listen to, like I really respect, feels like you have a really humble approach to it. And
thank you, man.
I think that's super cool that you see it almost as like a service. Obviously music's something you love and like it's in your heritage and like your gene pool of like this thing that you almost feel like you have to do. But I feel like that approach of like, I actually almost like owe this to my family and to like all the fans out there that love that music.
Is so how cool. I feel about it, man. It really is true, you know, because there's a part of you that I think almost like there's a sort of childlike innocence in a lot of us. It's like, I want to do things my way and it needs to be my thing. And that needs to be the way that I reach whatever arbitrary, weird bullshit that we set in our heads. And it's going to be all my stuff. It's like, in a lot of ways, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have these opportunities and I wouldn't have any of this if not for the sacrifices that my father made and the sacrifices that a lot of people made in that scene. And so in a big way, I was like, I'm in a unique position to get my uncles back together. They're back in each other's lives, to allow them to be playing the shows that they deserve to play. You know, obviously it's nice having that boost to my career and success and getting to do these cool things. But for me, you know, that's not the ultimate goal to play big shows or go on, you know, TV or whatever. Like what I realized that is, you know, satisfying to me and that is healing is bringing people together, you know, is facilitating this scene of all of these people that have been together for a long time and then shown the next generations this music. I realized that there's so much work still left to be done. Like, you know, I have ambitions to, you know, relaunch my father and his best friend Miguel's, he was a member of Sublime too, the Skunk Records, you know, bring that back and like, okay, let's take all the success of Sublime and leverage it into trying to give the next generation their opportunities that they deserve and show people that there is this huge SoCal alternative scene that people don't really know about, that it's not tied together yet. You know, I want to go out there and try to tie it together and just have fun doing it, you know?
That's so rad.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Bringing like a real purpose to it. Must feel really good.
That's what it feels like. It feels like having a purpose for sure.
Yeah. And that platform that they've created and now you're stepping into and can make it into your own thing to help give back to the rest of the music scene. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's been so much fun getting to meet people through doing this and seeing the passion on, you know, in the faces and performances of all the musicians we work with. And then, you know, all of the fans that come to the shows. It's like this crazy, weird vibe, you know, it's multi-generational, but these are still cool people. It's like, it's a family vibe, but not like the Disney lame family vibe. It's like, these are families where you could say fuck.
Yeah,
you say the word, you can say bad words and
it's real,
families that maybe
real
a little
life shit.
Yeah, dude, it's like dysfunctional, but real and honest in a cool way. And I think that's how we heal that generational trauma, you know?
For sure. No
matter who we lose or what kind of crazy stuff happens, there's still that unifying thing that brings us together. And so Sublime and that entire alternative SoCal scene, I think, is an expression of pain, but also a way to heal that pain inside of it. And it becomes this beautiful thing that I see so many people tapping into. So I'm just grateful that people are digging what we're doing right now and that they're accepting of it right now. And I just want to keep growing and getting better for them, you know?
For sure. That's so cool. What like when you were growing up and you started playing music, what were some of your influences like on your own musical path?
I think the first time I really got into music, like the first song or band that spoke to me was Gorillaz, actually. And it was the album Demon Days was my first CD. I got it on my 12th birthday. But I really never wanted to do music. I always tell this until I saw the movie Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's
Kyle
sick.
Gass and Jack Black. I owe it all to them.
That's so
They inspired me to actually want to go down the path just because they're also just these amazing entertainers and storytellers. And that was like the missing piece to me. Like, there's so many incredible musicians I get to work with, and that's why I want to help facilitate their dreams to come true. But for me, it's not just the playing music. You know, I never saw myself as much of a guitar player, not like how my father was certainly, but I can sing the songs close enough and be up there and entertain people. And that's what I think puts me in a unique position to be able to do this. It's not that I'm the same level of musician that he was, but I find myself in a unique position to, you know, authentically do it my way and to tell these stories to others. That's what always has excited me about the scene is getting to be a storyteller and helping other people's stories live on through this music and through these experiences. So I would say those are big influences of mine. Outkast, Beck. When I was in high school, it was all like heavy music. Like Tool was like my favorite band ever, and probably still up there. Queens of the Stone Age. Queens of the Stone Age is actually probably number one most influential to me, randomly enough. But there you go, that's another California alternative band though, right there, the desert.
Hell yeah,
the desert scene from the Ashes of Caius and all that stuff. And
Caius is sick, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was so influential to me, just the songwriting and again the storytelling. It was just all so apparent, and it was like that album Songs for the Deaf, which I'm a real fan. I also like all the other albums, but that's obviously like one of their biggest. But it was just time and place and so well done, and again just had that kind of story, like it's the saga. What's the saga? It's Songs for the Deaf. You can't even hear it. It's just a classic record, man. And when I heard that, I was like, I want to make a record like that. That had always been the goal. Like, where no skip songs. Every song just feels like it should be a hit, and that's always, you never are able to achieve that perfection, but you still strive to through the act of doing it. You discover self-discovery.
Sick. Yeah. And that's like, how many albums have you made on your own through Jakobs Castle?
So Jakobs Castle has only released their first record.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, Enter the Castle is out now. And it's very authentically me and my experiences, and it even goes through a lot of the experiences of this transition over to singing for my dad's band. I explore a lot of those. Like, it's complicated, it can be very emotionally challenging. And what am I doing? And there's all this doubt and uncertainty, but then there's these great rewards too, like both emotionally and physically, and you wrestle with it a lot. And like, what's your place in all this stuff? And so I explore that through that record, and we actually are just finishing up and putting the finishing touches on record 2 right now.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, most of the songs are all recorded, and we're just putting in some little touches and little darlings in there and whatnot, and it's been fun. And even I'm getting to work with Bud and Eric on some unreleased Sublime stuff that it never saw the light of day back in the day.
That must be super special.
Yeah, and then getting them over at the Harbor Martyrs studio. That's where I do all my Jakobs Castle stuff with my co-collaborator, my producer, John Joseph, San Pedro, California.
Sick.
Just down the street, kind of.
Yeah, I know. Down the street if there's no traffic.
Yeah, if there's no traffic, yeah. And so it's been cool getting it all together. It's like, again, that like generational trauma, but generational healing. It's like, let's get the past and look towards the future and bring it all together in the present. Make it one big cool thing. And I'm hoping with the Sublime stuff and the Jakobs Castle stuff to just collaborate with as many musicians as we can,
Heck yeah.
That's sort of the vibe. Yeah.
Sick.
Thank you.
Was there a moment when, cause I know like even when we were just talking before we started, like you kind of were like, I never really thought I'd do that, with step into like that role singing for Sublime. Like, was what shifted for you and
totally
sort of made it feel like something that you were excited about?
Well, I always talk about this big moment where, there was an opportunity and a call to do it and to step into that role. And, people have always wanted that since I first found out I could sing, and it never seemed like that was the right path for me, But then I was on tour with my band Jakobs Castle. We were opening up for Common Kings, and we were driving through NorCal. At this time, we were driving through Petaluma. And the Petaluma has a theater there called the Phoenix Theater, where my dad played his last show before he passed away that night. So I always stop by the theater, and I just, I check it out and just sort of have a little moment to myself. And it's like a little community center now, and there's kids kicking in there and skating and smoking weed and stuff. And it's almost like kind of perfect, because it's like, if only they knew. And it's interesting, that a lot of these little artifacts have survived. And I walked up on stage because it's still a theater set up there, even though they really don't hold too many events there anymore. And I heard a bunch of clapping coming from beyond these 2 double doors on the theater. And I opened the doors, see this big room filled up with people, and a room that was probably like an old green room or side room back in the day when it was still in use. And there was a meeting happening in there, like a NA or AA meeting or something like that. And I'm a sober guy. I'm 7 years sober because, it's a big part of my story, and just trying to,
Nice. Congrats.
Whole generational thing. Yeah. Cause that's what took my dad out and stuff. And I had a really big problem when I was, a teenager and in my young 20s, and to go in there and see that and it was all like, it was like that alternative scene, you know? It was like all the people there in this meeting were like of all ages really, but there were kids and adults and whatever. And just people trying to, you know, better themselves and trying to stay alive or surviving, you know? And it was so funny, like the way that we're all dressed and that we're all talking, like this is all stuff that was influenced by a period in time that my family had something to do with. And that just sort of blew my mind. And like on the wall, there was like old signatures from when Sublime played there and stuff. And I was like, what is going on? Because it was just this old green room or whatever. And I never like to share the story of who I am with people randomly, because I don't, you know, people think differently of you or assume that you're this way or that way or whatever way. But at that moment, I was like, I have to say something. And so, you know, I stood up and, you know, told everyone what was going on. And people were like, no way. And I was like, how often does this meeting happen here? You guys are here every day? They're like, nope, it's just on 2 p.m. on Tuesday or whatever night, or whatever day it was. I was like, no way. I just happened to walk into this theater on a whim as I'm driving through town. We weren't even playing a show there. We were just driving through town. And I just happened to bump into it, not only a meeting happening of people, but people who are like I just saw there, like, this is California. Like, these are real people with real experiences. And I got to meet the owners of the theater and jam out a few songs on stage, just me solo, just no one even there, just to the big empty theater. And it all kind of hit me at that moment, you know. I was 28 at the time, and my dad was 28 when he passed away. And then, you know, there was this HR benefit show that my Uncle Eric wanted to do with all of us, and to sort of like bring Sublime back together and stuff with me as the front man. And not only was it a huge honor to be asked to do that, but I was so terrified. But at that moment, I realized, like, you know, for these people that I saw at that meeting, these people trying to get better and people whose lives have been influenced by something that my family had something to do with, like, I would be crazy not to try at least to be a part of it, and to try at least to give myself in some way, and to utilize this platform to hopefully give back in any way that I can, in any way that makes sense. And I think that's what made it click for me. And then when we played Coachella, our trailer number was 28, which was another random weird thing.
Little serendipitous things.
Yeah, exactly. I'm never much one to, you know, put too much stock in that stuff, but there were so many weird little trippy coincidences that really tied it together for me like that. And even if it was just a coincidence, it's more about the act of observing that and being like, you know what, this moment is significant. This is something that is really cool and making people happy. And that's why I want to keep doing it.
That's sick, man.
Sorry for the long-winded story.
No, that's such a rad story.
Thank you, man.
Shit,
yeah, that's the long
crazy.
version, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
That must have been such a trip to walk in there.
Mm-hmm. It was, man. It was a huge trip. It felt like walking into like a cathedral.
Is it hard to like stay true to that sobriety, like in the music world, like with so much decadence and party and stuff all around you all the time?
Well, that's a great question, actually. I would say, you know, in the first year I got sober, for sure. I remember, like, I got sober this time around. I've been in and out, but then, you know, this time around it stuck longer so far. But I was 21 and I'm like 6 months sober at the time, and I'm getting my band at the time was called Law. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna go back out on the road, and we're just trying to make it happen and get enough money to put gas in our tank and stuff and get to the next place. And we were playing, like, I think in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were playing at the, what's the name of that theater?
Soho, maybe?
Yeah, it was like a smaller theater or club. I forget.
Yeah.
But this guy was like helping me like back up the van, just some random dude at the show. And he's like, oh, thanks for the help, man. He's like, dude, no problem, man. Stoked to see you guys, man. You guys want some blow? And I was like, what? And he's like, here, just take it. He hands me this fucking bag, like an 8-ball. And I was like, oh no. And I just like walked over to my buddy Benny Ranks, actually. He's from SB, and he plays it with Denim now.
Okay.
Yeah. He's still my buddy. I see him all the time at shows. I think I just handed it to him or something, like, get rid of this, just give it to somebody, whatever. Like, and it was so funny because like it was tough at first, but the more I've gone through it, the experience of being sober, and it's led me to the path that I'm on right now, the more it's gotten me to a place where I truly believe that how my life is today cannot be enhanced in any way by getting high. That sounds crazy even coming out of my mouth, because, you know, like, drugs and alcohol were like such a huge part of my identity growing up. It's how I felt like I could fit in. And now I feel like I don't need it to have a good time out there and to be in the scene and stuff. And so that's sort of the message that I give, because although I don't choose to do them anymore, I'm not an anti-drug or alcohol person. I just want people to be safe. Like I said, I grew up feeling like I didn't fit in with anything in this culture and stuff. And when I started smoking weed or drinking or eventually trying drugs or psychedelics and all the other stuff, I felt like no matter what people's interests were, whether they were a surfer or a skater or a music guy or just a nerd in their bedroom, like all of a sudden we all had the same thing in common.
You connected over it.
Yeah. All of a sudden I had this crew of people where we all had these different interests and ideas and abilities. These are good people. These are good California people. But this was a thing that brought us together. Like, you can't say that's evil. Like, it can lead towards dark places because it's something that makes you feel good physically. But just the mere act of doing it is not bad in itself. So when I'm up there on stage, I'm a facilitator. I'm an entertainer. I think everybody should indulge and have the best time of their lives. And the truth of the matter is you can't stop something like that. All you can do is try to help them if it gets to a place where it's bad. And try to help them before then, the preventative measures, education, testing your substances, having the right stations set up at festivals and that sort of thing. And then just talking about it openly, like removing that stigma. Like if someone's having a problem, like that's why I think drug addiction is important in our society, because it cuts through the drugs don't care who you are, anybody it can happen to.
All walks of life,
Yeah, man. And if you're somebody out there who's gone through that problem, you're my people. And I've seen the healing power that music has and the healing power that a community that's built around music can do to help their wounded,
That's cool. Do you feel like through that and like through your sobriety and being on the road and like going out and doing, like being in this environment that's for years like been such like a party focus, have you been able to help a lot of people come out of dark places and like just kind of bring them along that ride with you?
I mean, I hope so. We can only do so much. The real problem is you do have to want to get better, And it is this weird middle ground. People see me and I don't do anything. I don't smoke weed no more and drugs, nothing. And it kind of blows people's minds. Actually, I was talking to some friends the other day and they're like, "Oh, dude, at the show last week, and I thought you were drinking with us and partying the whole night." And I was like, "No, I was just on a good vibe." Like they almost couldn't even tell. And they're like, "That's crazy." And for me, total abstinence was the only option. That's what works for me. I mean, I still drink coffee and smoke cigarettes, but that's it. I'm not Miguel C, by the way. But no, for some people though, it's this weird middle ground because some people can just smoke weed. Mm-hmm. Some people can just do a little bit of this and that, and you really don't know until it's too late. So I think people have to concede to their innermost self or whatever it says, and get to a point where it's only between them and whatever other stuff they believe in. It's a personal decision that you have to figure out yourself. You can't force anybody to get this thing. So I don't think I've helped anybody. I think I've only been able to be there, to be a resource, to be around, to be a source of encouragement. And through that, other people, hopefully, I've seen other people get to a place where they can help themselves, you know?
Yeah, that's rad.
And that is a beautiful thing.
Heck yeah.
For sure.
So when you first started like singing all the Sublime songs, did you know a lot of them already? Or were you like, all right, now I'm going to do this. Like I got to dive in.
No, I didn't know a lot of them, And it's funny because like, obviously it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, especially like the second singer of a beloved band or whatever. It's never going to be exactly the same. So that's why I don't want it to be like that. Like this is sort of a new era and we're going to try to involve a bunch of different people. And, but at the same time, I try to take my job seriously, learn the songs to the best of my ability, sing to the best of my ability. I can't play guitar that good, but sorry, guy. That's why Trey Pangborn's up there. He's the God. I hate playing guitar. It's just not my thing.
Really?
Man.
Shit, I couldn't tell.
Thank you for saying that. No, I love jumping around and singing, entertaining, and telling stories. But
hell yeah.
I just never really picked up. I do what I can out of necessity, and but I'll leave that to the memory of my father and all the amazing accomplishments he did musically. But I will say that the people who didn't dig it, it's like, well, didn't he have all these years to learn all these songs and all that? It's like, dude, that wasn't my life's mission. Like, I asked people like, what did your dad do? I'm like, oh, he sold cars. I'm like, so did you grow up trying to learn how to sell cars perfectly, exactly how your dad did? It's like, well, no, or my dad's a chef. I'm like, can you cook every meal exactly like how your dad, like, it's kind of a crazy, morbid, weird thing to follow that. And even hearing a Sublime song, let alone trying to learn it, is emotionally challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean, there's an emotional, like, every time you listen to one of those songs, I'm sure it's an emotional roller coaster.
It is. It is. And I knew a few just because I like good music, and I like learning the songs that are cool songs that inspire me. So of course Sublime influenced me, like in an objective, like just taking myself out of it. So I learned the songs that I liked.
Yeah.
And then when it came time to sing for the band and do the gig, oh my God, there's so much I'd never heard of, man. So much. There's a really funny story, actually. This one time Pennywise asked me to come up and sing for them. This is years before I ever played with Sublime, but they were like, oh yeah, Pennywise wants you to come up and sing a Sublime song with them. I'm like, oh sweet, when is it? They're like, tonight. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Shit.
What song? They're like, Same in the End. And I'm like, what the fuck Sublime song is that? See, because people like don't know. They think just because I was born as the guy's kid, I just have all this downloaded information into me in my DNA. And it's just not like that. Like, and I was a surface level fan. Like, I just don't, like I said, it's morbid and emotionally challenging. So I'd never heard of that song at the time. So I'm like driving over, speeding to the show, listening to the song. I'm like, fuck, this song's really fast, dude. Jeez, how am I going to do this? I'm like on stage trying to sing it. Like, there's like a million people backstage and out in the audience. And like Fletcher was like lifting me over the fence to get me back in because there's no wristbands left or something. And I'm like looking at my phone and I'm like, I can't even remember the lyrics. And I was like, man, sorry, Fletcher. I didn't really know that song. I tried learning it. And he was like, you didn't learn shit, kid. Move along. He's fucking with me, like give you a fist bump. And I was like, fuck, they hate me. And then years later, I saw Fletcher again at a show.
He's classic.
And, oh, dude, he's such a legend, man. He's the sweetest man on planet Earth. But after my set, he's like, kid, come here. And he's this humongous guy. I'm like, looking up at him. I'm like,
so big.
Yeah, I'm like, he could just grab my head and just, and he's just like, I wanted to apologize to you, man. I was just messing with you on that night, but I didn't know, man, what you were going through and what it meant for you to learn these. And I was like, damn. He's like, if you ever need anything, man, you ever need someone to talk to about all this crazy change and the shit you're going through, he's like, your Uncle Fletcher, right? He gave me a big hug.
Sick.
And he also told me, he's like, dude, you don't have to do any of this. He was like, you could hop on a boat and just sail away from all this and not have to even be a part of this weird. And at that moment, I realized there was someone who really got it and understood what I was going through. And it meant a lot. But I told him, it was like a movie moment. I was like, no, Fletch, like I have to do this. Like I have to like there's no option anymore. Like, and he's like, are you sure you're having fun doing it? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I am. I know if I'm having fun if everyone else around me, your suffering is over when everyone else's suffering is ended. So I'm not going to have fun until I'm making sure that every motherfucker is having a good time. But just at that moment, that was another inciting factor, is that it just feels like this duty that I can't explain it almost, I try to get wordy and intelligent fucking lies it, verbalize it or whatever, but I can't, man. It just feels like this compulsion that I need to be a part of for myself and my family and the people around me.
That's so cool. Thank you. Did you feel pressure before you started doing it to do it? Or was it really like you got to take your time to like get to that place where you were comfortable with it?
Little both. I mean, my whole life there was pressure. You know? First time I wrote a song, everyone's like, well, when's he gonna, you got to join Sublime now. It's time to bring it back. I get it. People are frothing at it because it's like they want to see the band that they love back in a way that is more similar to how it was in the old school days. You know what I mean? Bud and Eric up there and guys from the scene like Dougie and Trey and I'm just, happen to be related to the guys. So I'm close in a physical, emotional and familial sense. So it makes sense for me to be up there for right now. And, man, I just want to do the best job I can. Yeah. When I had to learn those songs, it was a crazy process, and it still is like a crazy process.
Yeah, I bet. So many lyrics. Like a lot of the Sublime songs have a lot of words in them too. Never really thought about that until I was thinking about talking to you. I was like, fuck, there's a lot of words in a lot of those songs. And they're fast. They're fast.
Well, it's been cool though, digging through the discography, because there's so many amazing songs that I didn't know know a lot about. Like All You Need is one I'm learning right now. That's all you need. Yeah, yeah. It's so sick, dude. And it's just like, they were just so like free form. It just felt like effortless, like just mixing all these vibes, and you could just feel the fun, but also the pain, and like just everything in there. So I think at my worst, and when this job is at its worst, I'm, uncertain. And are people going to accept me? And am I going to be a part of this thing, or am I too different? Or am I going to be good enough for the fans and for my dad's legacy? Bam, all this craziness. But when it's at the best, it's, oh my God, this band is the most amazing band of all time. I'm so lucky that I get to perform these songs, and they're so much fun to play. And Bud and Eric are so much fun to hang out with and play with. And
Sick.
and it's just this free form, crazy thing every time that you don't know what's going to happen. So I think I like to try to exist somewhere in the middle of all that, and just say, you know, I'm here to do it. And if you come to the shows, I think you're going to have a killer time.
It looked like you guys were having fun at Coachella. I was telling you, we randomly flicked on the live stream. Like my wife was about to have a kid.
So
and she was
crazy.
like, I'm so bummed I can't go to Coachella. Like, let's turn it on. She's like 9 months pregnant. We turned it on. It was literally like your guys' first song. No way. And I'm like, felt like I'd been living under a rock. I didn't even know that this was happening.
A lot of people didn't, man.
Yeah. And so I was like, holy shit, look at this. This is so rad. Like Jacob up there singing, and it looked like you were having a really good time. And I can only imagine what it's like to, obviously you've played your own music live, but then to like all of a sudden be out at Coachella, just like first gig.
I know, dude. And I've played tons of festivals with big crowds, but nothing quite like main stage Coachella right at sunset. It was more people than I'd ever seen in one place. And here I am trying to entertain them. I think second week was no problem at all. It was no big deal. But the first week, man, I remember when they told us like, okay, 1 hour till set time. It was like, like time slowed down, but at the same time felt like instantaneous. It was so weird. I'd look over and be like, okay, 45 minutes. Look over, okay, 5 minutes. I'm like, what? Okay, 25 minutes. I'm like, wait, I thought it was just 5 minutes. It was like, I was like having time dilation, like I was on acid. This is crazy. And you just walk up there and it's time to go. And like, you just, you know, you put on the suit and do the song and dance, and you do what's asked of you.
Oh yeah. Looked like you guys had a really good time.
It was crazy.
And you're playing the US Open.
So excited about that.
That's Sublime.
Man.
And you got a bunch of Jakobs Castles coming up, Jakobs Castle stuff coming up between now and then.
Yeah, man. It's been great doing stuff like the Open with Sublime, because obviously it goes beyond just music. It's been a cultural soundtrack to so many different activities, including sports, you know, like surfing and skating and all sorts of other stuff. It's become like this like mainstay in SoCal culture and all of California culture, really. And I'm really proud and I feel lucky to get to be a part of that. And I think playing an event like this, there's going to be a lot of people who appreciate that kind of music. So that's been amazing. And then as far as Jakobs Castle, we've been doing all these really cool locals only shows is what we've been calling them. And it'll change over time. But right now it's sort of like the proto skunk revival, like working with the small time artists and using any success from Sublime to be able to promote all these local shows and be like, yo, you know, you got a band, let's get everything together, you know, from surf rock to pop punk to hyper pop to reggae stuff to, you know, hip hop shit, like literally anything. I'm like, okay, this is the alternative scene. It is multi-genre. Like all these people and different folks who play the most random music in a weird way have been influenced by Sublime and their contemporaries. So it's been so cool trying to get that all together, like, and trying to remember what alternative used to mean, you know, like it's the alternative to the mainstream, alternative to the norm, like, you know, fuck Hollywood, like burn it all down, all that corporate shit. Like, let's bring it back to when it was just good people trying to have a good time and make a living and a life out of that. And so far the shows have been rad. We've been getting so many people out. The next one coming up is going to be in Thousand Oaks. August 17th, Jarrett. And I would love for people, I'd love to give a shout out to that, because all the local stuff we're doing, it means a lot and it's close to my heart. And seeing all the people that come out to those, it feels like it's this next generation.
Sick.
And it's been a great time.
You guys will have to put one on in Santa Barbara.
Let's do it. I'm so down, man.
Hell yeah.
Come through.
I know the music scene's like, I've had a few friends who I play guitar and I've played a little bit with some friends and stuff. I love music. Like I've always been a huge fan of music.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, like the scene's kind of, I feel like I have a few buddies in bands and I'm like trying to make it happen, but I feel like Santa Barbara like needs a better underground. Like we have the Santa Barbara Bowl,
right?
And then there's like Soho, but it's like the smaller stuff just needs to get like knit together.
Yeah, where's
and
the
like,
different in betweens and stuff like that. Yeah. That's really my dream, is to help out the local scene in any way that I can. Like utilizing the flag of Sublime is like, okay, this is our country of California. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah.
Like let's all band together and just do as much fun stuff as we can, you know?
That's sick. Yeah, I was telling you before we started talking to you, like I grew up doing the surf camp at home in Santa Barbara.
That's
and I was
sick.
like Grom, and they'd pick, my friend JP would pick us up in like a van. It was called Santa Barbara Seals.
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
There'd be like 8 of us in this black van, and he loved music and he had this big, thick binder of CDs.
Oh, nice.
And so we listened to all kinds of shit, but he was like, that turned me on to so much music. And I remember just like the soundtrack, if I thought of one album, or like one, not necessarily an album, because he played a lot of Sublime albums, but like he always played Sublime. So that was like one of my first.
So cool to me, man.
Yeah, it was like one of the first bands that I connected with. And you know, like throughout my life, I feel like there's different music and different times in my life where I'm into a certain genre of music or certain artists, you know, and like they bring back memories at that point in my life, like clear as day, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's for sure. Like every time I hear Sublime, I'm like, oh, I think about those days doing Seals, driving around in the van with like my friends, just like, we were like 13 and I don't know, just starting to run amok and just surfing all day. Like, but life was so just surf and hang out and surf and hang out. It was so fun. Man. So
that's beautiful. The stories like that are what mean the most to me doing this, you know, those are, that's life.
Totally.
That's real life happened. And Sublime and their music was a part of that. Like, that's crazy. And it's because they were just reflecting those same experiences that they were going through. And I think that is such a unique and lucky thing when the music that you make can become a part of people's lives in that way. So it's exactly what I seek to do with Jakobs Castle, and continuing on the work of my father in Sublime, and continuing on the works of everybody else that I see in local scenes in California with Skunk Records. So yeah, man.
How is that juggling like your own projects and your own like creative outlet through your music, and then also like having Sublime over here? Like, is that challenging?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
I bet.
We were kind of talking about that earlier. It's like, fuck, I finally get to do what I love to do, and I get to do it nonstop. So you just want to say yes to everything. Like, oh yes, I'm going to do this. And oh wait, here could be an opportunity, or like, oh, I can't miss out on this interview, or another chance to say this or speak my piece, or a writing session, or a chance to, you know, do this for starting the label again and meet this person and go here and drive to this thing and hop on the plane.
Podcasting play the show with some surfer kid. What the fuck?
It's just constantly, but that is my life. And, you know, and that is experiences that I could channel right back into the art for other people that are going through similar stuff, trying to make their dreams come true. So it is exhausting, and it is a lot being part of 2 full-time bands, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I would recommend that you do it and freaking go balls to the wall for now. Cause like I used to feel that way on the tour, and I was like, man, a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm tired. I'm kind of ready to slow down, and like, I really appreciate where I am in my life now, but like now that I'm here, I'm like, I'm never going back there. Yeah. So definitely milk it.
Milk it while you got it.
Yeah.
Hey, never say never though, man. You never know.
Oh no, I know. Never say never for sure. But yeah, I think there's like those stages in your life, and like when you have those opportunities to like,
it's true, man. The
do
universe,
all these things that you've dreamed of, and
the universe has a weird way of putting us exactly where we're supposed to be, and that's what I want to be, is just a servant to the universe. Like, it's got nothing to do with me at the end of the day. I just want to be. I'm not the player. I'm just a piece on the board, you know. And I just want to keep doing it, you know.
Heck yeah. What as far as like your projects, do you have anything? Like, you got your second album coming out. When are you guys releasing that?
No set schedule yet. It's all. Maybe I shouldn't even. No, I can talk about it. Who cares?
Am I screwing this up?
Not at all. No. We're still promoting a lot of the first record. I just get so eager, and I'm like, I want to write more. I just want to go. But I'm sure, you know, we'll try to maybe get some singles out later this year. No promises, but if not, then definitely next year. But it's really cool to see it releasing in tandem with Sublime stuff, and just trying to maximize all the properties that we have coming out right now. It's definitely a lot on the horizon, I will say, for both those projects.
Heck yeah. Oh, can we talk about it, that you guys are putting out a new Sublime song?
Yeah, we just did. Yeah, yeah, Feel Like That.
Okay, cool.
We
you got a video
stick
coming
figure. Out? Yeah, man. And we played it on the Tonight Show, which was a crazy. Can you imagine this mug on TV, man? Yeah, man. That was sort of the first thing that gave me the idea to do it, because it was started with stick figure and my Uncle Miguel with some old Sublime bootlegs that never got like a super quality recording or whatever. And that's what I want to continue doing, is like, instead of being like, I'm the new lead singer of Sublime, we're going to write new songs. It's like, that's jive, man. You know, I'm never going to out moment my father. Like, that was the moment that they had. Like, let that be its own thing. Like, how can Sublime be useful and new and serve a purpose today? And it isn't just like writing a whole new record. Like, I want to, you know, make good recordings of some of the songs that never got to be on full-length records, like the bootlegs. And I want to make remixes of unreleased material and collab with musicians of all different genres and scenes and that sort of thing. Just to like, that's what's fun. That was always what Sublime was about, is collabing and having fun and getting in a room and jamming together. So I think if Sublime ever does any more stuff, expect it to be along those lines. You know?
Yeah. Sublime is such a unique, like, mesh and meld of different musical qualities.
Oh, totally, man.
From reggae to punk and
Yeah.
that raw. It felt so raw, like, especially when you guys play live, it's like, whoa, sick.
Oh, totally.
That energy. And I feel like watching you play and like sitting here talking to you, like you have that energy about you just naturally, obviously without any drugs or alcohol. And you just like, you bring it.
Turns out I never needed them. Yeah. No, we'd have a crazy time no matter what. It's always just so much fun, dude.
Yeah. It's infectious for sure.
My Uncle Bud always says that no two Sublime shows are the same. And like, I think that stays true today. We might make up a whole new song right there. It's happened before. So,
and you're like you guys, your family obviously has ties like back into San Clemente and kind of like the whole surf scene and those roots like
totally
planted there. I know like you're saying you're not really like an avid surfer these days, but
I wish I had the time.
Yeah. That's something that you've done in the past though.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, of course, but just my life took different paths. And, you know, a lot of my friends obviously did, and just being around in those scenes, whether it was also like snowboarding and skating, and I'm always been super outdoorsy, you know, like hikes and bike rides and that sort of thing. Swimming, did water polo and junior lifeguards and all that sort of stuff. But as far as life is right now, like I barely have moments to kick it with my cats at home, you know what I mean? Yeah. However, I'm hoping that if everything goes right, I can make the soundtrack for people that do want to go do those activities and be a part of that. And then maybe when I'm 60, I'll get back on the
retirement plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you have, what other things are you into like outside of music? Like, do you have passions that you're fired up on that maybe don't see the light of day too often? Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the hobbies have to remain you know, dormant for now, but you know, art, drawing was always a big thing for me. Reading and writing, you know, I went to school for writing. I'd say that's a really big passion of mine. And hopefully I can get into that scene. See, I want to do too many things. Yeah. I'm like, two bands,
I know the feeling.
Record label, and I would love to write a TV show, and maybe I can get into acting and all this stuff. Like I would just love to do it all. And as much as life can put on my plate, and I'll try to eat as much as I can off the plate. You know what I mean?
No, I was super impressed, like listening to an interview with you, and I was like, I didn't graduate high school, but then I was listening to you talk. I was like, dude, he's so well spoken. Like,
thank you, dude.
Fuck? And then you're all, I went to college. So you didn't graduate high school, but they kind of like accidentally let you into community college.
That's exactly how it worked. Yeah.
Because I remember I dropped out of high school, or I tested out, and then I was like, okay, if I want to go to city college, I needed the California high school proficiency exam at least to get into CC. And you're all, well, they kind of never really asked me for it.
Yeah, that is the way that happened. I can't remember the lady's name who let me in. I'm like, I hope I'm not messing up her job, but I guess no one will ever know. But yeah, the way I got kicked out junior year for fighting, believe it or not, you know, life was really weird in the home I grew up in, and I was a very different guy back then, but I'm a big old sweetheart now. But I was just an angry kid, you know, and I was getting into fights and stuff. I get kicked out. And and then later on, I think a couple years later, my grandparents like, you got to go to community college. You got to try. And I'm like, okay. And the lady was like, okay, well, you guys better start signing up for classes. I'm like, okay, we'll sign up. And she's like, well, wait, you guys haven't sent in your high school diploma yet. And I was like, oh, I don't have one. She's like, well, you got to send in your GED then. You got to go take. I'm like, okay, I'll send it in. She's like, all right, well, you can start signing up now, but really, you got to get that into me. I need that. I'm like, yeah, okay, I will. And it just never happened. It just never really checked. I think she just marked a box and hooked us up. So
yeah, sick.
Thank you to that lady.
Heck.
I don't even think she knew about Sublime or nothing like that. She was just kind of a good lady who was trying to help someone out. So, and yeah, I went through Long Beach City College, got my associate arts, and then I went to CSULB, Cal State Long Beach.
Right.
Go Beach. And I went for creative writing, with the, you know, focus on TV writing was like always my dream. And I studied a lot of mythology and stuff too. That's why like all my tattoos are like different gods and goddesses from mythology and that sort of thing. It's always been the thing that inspired me to do this line of work. Ever since I was a kid, my grandpa, you know, aside from just teaching me guitar and all these other, you know, creative pursuits, he would, we'd read to each other, you know, a lot of different mythology stuff and Joseph Campbell. And I think hearing those different stories from all these different cultures around the world, it really put into perspective like what inspires people to do anything with their lives. And I think we just want to see ourselves reflected back. And then we want to do that reflecting sometimes. Like what we're creating right now, we're just sitting here telling stories for people to listen to and to connect with. And that might inspire somebody to go do something else for somebody else. And then it just keeps going. So that's how I feel like I'm just a small piece of this thing. And I think, school, I'm definitely glad I went to school, but let's just say that there's millions of different paths for everybody. I'm not everybody has different needs.
For sure. But did you feel like, because when I was in high school and like elementary school, I was kind of like I always got pretty good grades, but I just didn't enjoy it. I was like, what's the point of this? Like, this isn't what I want. Like, this doesn't feel like it's working towards like what I want to be doing.
I hated it.
But then when I went to college, all of a sudden I was like, I took some classes at Santa Barbara City College. And once I got to learn about things that I was more interested in, I was like, oh, I actually really enjoy learning. Yeah. Did you have that when you went back into City College? And
no, really? I still hated it.
Yeah.
I got horrible grades throughout all of my schooling. I don't think I've ever gotten good grades. I'm like the worst, it's so hard to motivate me to do stuff. It's just impossible. But like you said, it depends on the way to do it. I found out that there's just different ways that I'm able to learn stuff. Like some people are visual learners, some people are tactile. For me, it has to be described like a story. That's always, and I keep reiterating, and I probably sound like a broken record, but let's say a teacher's trying to teach me this, math problem, like an algebraic equation. It's going to mean nothing to me. I'm like, this is so bogus. Like, fuck this. But then if she explains to me the person who invented the problem and what they were doing in their life at the time and what their life was like and the history of that thing, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I get it. They made it to use it for this reason. Like I have to think of things like,
why?
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's the weirdest thing.
No, but it's like you need the why.
I need
to
the why.
It.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was sort of the same way. I could connect with you on that. Cause it's like, if I'm not going to use it or like, what's the purpose?
Yeah.
Of this?
What's
like,
the application?
Why?
Yeah. And same thing with like I never enjoyed history growing up until I started. I need that humanizing element. If something just feels like a textbook or a chore or something that someone's compelling you to do, like it's on their whim, it's never going to be connected with me. And I think that's what people need. You almost have to trick people into learning, or I had to trick myself into learning. I need to connect with something on a human level, and then I'm able to do it. So, and it's tough because education's tricky, but I think for those people out there, when they find their thing and their way of gaining information, it's totally rewarding.
For sure. Yeah. I trip out on like the blanket education system because we're all so unique and so different. Like you said, everyone learns so differently and has such different interests. It's like, but they try to teach us all the same shit. It's like, wait, what? But we're all good at something. We just need to find out what it is. Yeah. Like facilitating kids and finding out what they're into, I feel like should be our education.
Oh, totally. 100%, man. Yeah. It's tricky for sure because everybody is different and it's hard to make it bespoke and unique to each person. But yeah, I think I was always, more inspired by the teachers who would kick it with me on like a human level. Actually, a crazy story about that. We just played Bayfest in San Diego, and that's where I went to school in San Diego and stuff. So when I was on stage, I was just like, shout out to everyone I went to school with and like all the teachers and stuff. And I was like, shout out to my teacher, Nick Bankert. I was like, well, I wonder what Mr. Bankert's up to, man. He was my Spanish teacher. I'm like, that guy ruled. I wonder if he's here at the show. Oh, I said, I wonder if he's here at the show right now. Anyway, this cat comes backstage to me. He hits me up after my set backstage, and he goes, hey, man, that was really cool that you mentioned Nick Bankert like that. I want to let you know he passed away 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, my God, I wanted to cry. Like, this is insane. And he's like, no, don't shed a tear right now, man. He's like, the fact that you mentioned him tonight and that you said, man, I wonder if he's here tonight. He was like, dude, he was here. Like, to him and that guy and his friends and those people. And then my manager, Kevin Zinger, who's a San Diego local, friends with my dad back in the day, all the just total legend local dude. He's like, how did you know that kid, Nick? I'm like, that kid? I'm like, oh, you mean my teacher? Like Nick Bankert? He's like, yeah, dude, how did you know that? He's like, he knew him and friends and all these people. And he's like, all my friends are tripping that you mention him right now. And I'm like, yeah, dude, he was my teacher in school. And like, he meant a lot to me. Like I totally failed his class because I didn't do any work. But he was a real human dude that made a difference. And he was like special. And like, I hadn't thought about him in years. Like what made me even mention him there on stage like that? And the fact of doing that, and then I don't want to bring it out right now, but my manager sent me this text from this guy and Mr. Bankert's family who mentioned a thing, like they were just crying the fact that like I'd mentioned him and remembered in that way. And I was like, me doing Sublime and forcing myself to go through this challenging emotional experience that I'm uncomfortable with sometimes led to a moment like that, which was like totally unintentional, of bringing some people together in the memory of a really good man who did a lot of good work, at least in my life that I saw. So, you know, here's to you, Banker.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Sorry.
That's fine. No worries. This is a pretty nice rug though, actually.
It's just crazy stuff like that, man, that just happens randomly that blows my mind about doing this line of work. I think that's it's the human element. It's the stories that we tell each other, you know what I mean? And that's always what's going to be the best. I can clean that. It's just water. Right? I'm kind of thirsty now though.
Pour some beer on there if you want. Here, you can have this if you want to pour some.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'll have some water too. Do you guys, do you plan on touring like internationally at all?
Not full on tours, but I would love to do shows overseas. That was one of the biggest tragedies that Sublime never got to do.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that. Like, did they ever really play? Like,
they were going to do a big tour, over a Europe tour right when my dad passed.
No
it was
way.
going to happen. Yeah. So who knows what the trajectory of their career would have been if they had done that. So in a lot of ways, like, I want to be able to facilitate all the stuff that Bud and Eric deserve to do, you know?
That'd be pretty insane to like take that music over there for the first time and just see the reactions that people have.
We're ready for it.
Hell yeah.
Taking California to the rest of the world.
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
Have you gone and played internationally, like with Jakobs Castle or any of your other bands?
Never.
Are you fired up to like get out and do some of that?
Love to, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
I
are some
love
of your
traveling.
places that you want to go, like bucket list to go play shows?
Oh man. Rock in Rio has always been a dream of mine. That's always been, so many legendary bands have played that. I would love to play a show in the UK. I think that would be so cool. Basically anywhere over there would be awesome. And Spain would be sick too. There's so many countless amazing music festivals and scenes that happen out there. So
Cool. I didn't even know that really. Spain, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Spain's sick.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I'm stoked with all the stuff happening right now in the scene and life. And what's crazy to me, trip out on this, is that it really is just the beginning. Like, Coachella was just in March or April or whenever it was. I can't even remember.
A trip, huh?
It really hasn't been that long. It really has. We've just started up and tried to drum up this and the new song and all these things and Jakobs Castle's first record. We're all just building. So, you know, if anything we've said here tonight, if anybody out there relates with this stuff, you know, you are a part of this thing, and come on out to some shows and have some fun with us and tell people, warn people, 'cause this will not stop.
Heck yeah. Right on, Jacob. Well, dude, thanks so much.
Yeah.
I know you got your fur babies. You got to get home to
Got to
today.
get back to my little cat Creature.
Yeah.
And he's a hairless cat.
Yeah, not fur baby.
And,
Furless fur baby.
Skin babies is crazy. He's a hairless cat, and then his sister is Fluffy. She's also a hairless cat, and that's, I don't know if they can see.
Sick.
That's Creature, a hairless cat.
That's so, yeah. Well, I hope he's doing all right.
I know. I got to go check on him right
Yeah.
now. I fucking love them.
Go get him
I
dialed.
told my tour manager, I'm like, if there's anything wrong with my cats, no shows for the
Cancel
rest
it all.
of the year. It's all. Cats are bust.
Send him to Connor's house in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Connor's
He'll
gonna.
have to deal with a couple of half feral outdoor cats, so I don't know if he'd be too fired up on that.
No, that'd be awesome, man. They need to. My cats have never known struggle. They need to. They need to make some new friends.
Awesome. Right on, dude. Well, good luck with everything, and really appreciate you jumping on. And I'm fired up to come watch you guys play on Jakobs Castle and Sublime. So.
Yes, stoked for everything coming up. Thanks so much, man.
Of
Appreciate
course.
you.
Hell yeah. Great to meet you.